Hello everybody and welcome to a beginner's guide for Escape from Tarkov. In the interest of time, I'm assuming that you already know what Tarkov is and that instead you're looking to learn how to play it. If you are looking for a more general overview of the game, I will leave a link to my overview video in the description below. I'll split this guide up based on the type of tips, general, gameplay specific settings and keybinds, etc. So take a look in the description or hover over the video now to find a particular section that you're looking for. Let's get started. As you know, the goal of each raid in Tarkov is to survive. Therefore, the most important tip I can give, the one that will lead to the greatest odds of your survival, is invest, even if only a little bit, into the gear that you bring. Here's the thing with Tarkov, you're gonna die. There is no way around it, you will die. It truly is that simple. Jeez, I wasn't expecting to get that deep. But seriously, regardless of whether you brought only the bare minimum or if you splurged every last one of your hard-earned rubles on the sickest loadout, sometimes you're just gonna get one tap from across the map and there ain't nothing you can do about it. So the sooner you get over that simple fact, which we in the Tarkov community call gear fear, the sooner you can begin to get a good grasp on the game. Here are the basics for what you need to invest in on every raid. First and foremost, ears. It doesn't matter which headset you use, just never, and I do mean never ever, go into a raid without ears. My go-to are the M32s sold by Skier, as they can be used with almost every helmet in the game, sound great, and are available right at level 1. If you find yourself struggling to hear things without turning up your volume so high that gunshots sound like nuclear bombs, then don't worry, there's a setting for that, and I'll cover it once we get to the settings and keybind section. Next, your weapon and ammo. As a new player, the weapon itself actually doesn't matter too much. Weapons, like all gear, will come and go, so don't get too attached to what you've got. Just use whatever you found thus far and or whatever feels the best in your hands. Experimenting with the different guns and attachments is one of the key components of playing Tarkov, and after all, at the end of the day, they're guns. If it goes pew pew, it can get the job done. It's just a matter of practicing with the ones that you enjoy using. Keep in mind that foregrips and sights can make a massive difference on how a gun feels. If you don't like something right away, try using a reflex sight instead of the iron sights, or slapping a grip on it to mitigate the recoil. And if you are ever in doubt whether a specific attachment can even go on your gun, just double click the attachment and hover over this little caret to check the compatibility. Moving on to ammo, well, this is where it gets a bit tricky. Ammo is extremely important to your success in Tarkov, but my gosh, there are so many types of it. And as this is a beginner's guide, I'd rather not cause you to whip out your notebook and start taking notes like you just heard your professor say, this will be on the final. Therefore, I present to you a gift. Bam, here you go. Use this chart. Pretty much everyone and their mom knows about and uses this bad boy. Don't worry, you can ignore most of the garbage on here as a new player. There are just 6 calibers that I recommend you remember. 9x18, 9x19, 545, 556, 762 by 39, and 762 by 54. 9mm is a pistol and SMG cartridge. 545, 556, and 762 by 39 are rifle cartridges, and 762 by 54 is for snipers. These 6 calibers combined cover the vast majority of weapons that you'll see in raid, minus shotguns. As for specifically which bullet to use, I'll just show you the bare minimum that you should use in each caliber and you can go from there. Again, using half decent ammo is very important if you actually want to kill anything, but as with most things in Tarkov, it's going to take time to learn and memorize which is which. If you are ever in doubt, just aim for the head or the legs and your ammo will magically matter a whole lot less. A link to this ammo chart is in the description below. For the rest of your gear, there are far fewer rules to adhere to. For backpacks and tactical rigs, simply use whatever you have. Keep in mind that the more space in your rig and backpack, the more loot you can carry out of a raid, and thus the more money you can make. The Burkut backpack and bank robber or CSA rigs are all solid starter options and sold by Ragman. Body armor is pretty much self-explanatory. The higher the level of the armor, the more it's going to protect you. Note that I said pretty much self-explanatory because there are other factors in a given armor's usefulness, such as repair cost and durability, but for you, a new player, just use anything tier 4 or under. I can almost guarantee that tier 4 armor will be the highest you'll come across, but if you do happen to stumble into tier 5 and especially tier 6 armor, I highly recommend that you save those to either A, sell on the flea market, or B, use them only once you have a better understanding of the game. For the meantime, I recommend buying the 6B516 Uli armored rig from Ragman, as it counts both as your body armor and your tactical rig, as well as being tier 4 armor. The Uli doesn't have a lot of carrying capacity, but it does provide much more protection than the alternatives available to you, so it is absolutely worth the money. Helmets are kind of like body armor, just wear the highest tier you've got, and if you somehow acquire something higher than tier 4, keep it and sell it on the fleet. However, unlike body armor, helmets only have one factor in their usefulness: ricochet chance. You want high. That's it. Everything else is trash. Also, this may be a bit controversial, but honestly, you don't really need a helmet at all. What? preposterous. No, I'm serious. If you get shot in the head, you're dead like 95% of the time anyway, so as a new player, just save your money and pick one up off of a dead scav. However, if you really want to experience the placebo of wearing a helmet, then you only have one option as a new player, the penis helm gang. Fragment sells the SSH-68 steel helmet, which does have high ricochet chance, but is literally the only helmet in the entire game that prevents you from using the M32 headset. Yes, the only one. So you'll need to use some trash Russian headset sold by Prap, or if you're rocking the mushroom tip, really just save your money and use the helmets that you find. The last thing you need to bring into a raid with you are meds. You know, the things that keep you alive if you get into a little tussle. You only need 3 types of meds: something to fix fractures, something to fix bleeds, and something to fix, well, your health. Here's what I recommend: an immobilizing splint for fractures, an S-March for heavy bleeds, and a car first aid kit for both light bleeds and recovering your health. All of these are sold by the therapist. You can also bring painkillers with you, but honestly, pain meds only help if you pop them before getting into a fight. And believe me when I tell you that as a new player, remembering to pop some pills will be the very last thing on your mind when you're about to start getting shot. It's also a great idea to put meds into your pouch, as everything in your pouch slot is kept upon death. I'll touch more on the secure container in a bit. Okay, being that I've already taken up a pretty big chunk of your time, I'm going to keep the rest of these tips as concise as possible. Let's start with scav runs. Scav runs are your money button. That's it. If you're low on cash or just want to make some risk-free moolah, press the scav button and watch your rubles flourish. It may be a bit boring knowing that you're not making any progress towards your PMC stats, and probably not doing a whole lot of shooting either, at least if you're doing it right. But I seriously cannot overstate how helpful scav runs are as a new player. I have an entire video detailing my favorite paths to take on a scav run. A link to that is in the description below, but you can and should do whatever you want on a scav run, as you'll be learning the different maps and their various landmarks, which is knowledge that you can then apply to your actual raids. Speaking of maps and landmarks, how the heck do you leave? Where are those gosh darn extracts? Online maps or a friend who knows the game? Seriously, those are your only 2 options. Just search xmap Tarkov, click on the mapgenie.io link, uncheck all 3 categories, and then toggle on the location subcategory, not the entire locations one. Also, only certain extracts will be available to you on each raid, so once you're in the game, double tap O to see which ones you have. Speaking of being in game, once you start finding all the dank loot, put the good stuff up your butt, I mean into your pouch. Anything in this container is kept upon death. The only caveat is that the things that you find in raid, indicated by this little checkmark, will no longer have said checkmark if you die with it in your pouch. Don't worry, it's like social media where checkmarks are largely irrelevant and really only matter for quest turn-ins and selling things on the flea market. Touch more on this in a bit. Keybinds, at least the important ones. Put your meds on a number key by simply hovering over them and pressing whichever key you want them on. The keybinds that I recommend you memorize are: switch between sights. If you kill someone, that they have an actual scope plus some kind of dot on the top, this is how you get between them. Change scope magnification, zooming in and out. Toggle tactical devices, turning lasers and flashlights on or off. Switch tactical device mode, going from laser to flashlight and vice versa. Throw a grenade, make sure they're in your rig or your pockets, not in your backpack. Check ammo. This is how you see how much ammo is left in your mag, and I highly recommend you bind this to a single keystroke. Switch fire mode, walk, slap this bad boy to instantly put your character down to minimum movement speed in order to sneak around and make as little noise as possible. And finally, discard. An honorable mention is fix malfunction, but simply reloading fixes your malfunctions, and honestly, if you run into a malfunction during a fight as a beginner, you're already dead. Seeing your enemy before they see you is a major factor in winning a gunfight. Here are the settings that I use to make character models pop out from the surroundings as much as possible. If you're a yellow shift gamer like me and find some indoor areas a bit hard to see in, then crank this slider up to the max before going in. You'll have to turn it back down once you go outside, but hey, that's a small price to pay for protecting the eyeballs. And finally, for audio, here's how you make things really stand out. Right-click the speaker icon in the bottom right of your desktop and go Sound Settings, Device Properties, Additional Device Properties, Enhancements, Loudness Equalization. Now, any loudness equalization software will work. I simply use the built-in one to Windows, but once you play with this thing on, you won't ever want to go back. We have made it now to the final section: progression, or how to become stronger. First, traders. You level them up by gaining rep, spending money, and simply increasing your own PMC level. If the only thing preventing leveling a trader up is money spent, then simply pick a relatively cheap item, buy a large quantity of it, and then sell it straight back to that trader. Both the purchase and the return will count towards your overall money spent at the trader. For selling all the loot you find in a raid, here is the order of traders you always use. Therapist first, as she will always give you the best price. Mechanic for all of the weapons and accessories. Ragman for all your clothes. And Fence for everything else. Fence will always buy an item off of you regardless of its condition, but will always give you the lowest price. If you can't sell an item to a trader, it's either due to low durability, 60% of the maximum is the cutoff, or it's simply the wrong type. Therapist doesn't want your stinky balaclavas. Other than that, always check traders for tasks and always work on at least one task per raid. The more, the merrier. Also, for completing tasks, the wiki he is your best friend. For your hideout, if you're not pay to win, then focus on stash upgrades over everything else. Get at least workbench level 1 to unlock weapon modding, and then right click a weapon and click edit preset to then change your life forever. Otherwise, just upgrade stations as the tasks require you to. The higher level station you have, the higher level stuff you can craft with it, and crafted items always come with the found in raid status to then turn in for your tasks. Finally, for leveling up your PMC skills like endurance and strength, prepare yourself for this absolutely massive info dump. Just play the game. There are so many other things to focus on while you're starting out in Tarkov, and your skills are not one of them. They will just level up naturally as you play. And with that, we are done. I just threw a lot of information at you, trust me, I know. But that's just the kind of game Tarkov is. It's both hard to learn and hard to master. Do not feel like all the information in this video is necessary to begin playing in the first place, because it is absolutely not. Just take small chunks of it here and there and slowly apply it to your runs over time. Tarkov just needs exactly that from you, your time. And trust me, once you start giving it your time, it's gonna start rewarding the crap out of you. Trust me, this is one heck of a video game. With that, I'll leave you with links to some of my favorite Tarkov streamers because, as with anything, the more you expose yourself to, the more you'll learn. Landmark, Zerhawk, Trey24K, and Glorious E. These guys are all way better at the game than I am, and each have slightly different play styles that you can synthesize and piece together with your own. Links to their streams are down below in the description, and note that all of these fine gentlemen also have YouTube channels as well. You can check out my stream at twitch.tv/WoollyGaming and consider joining our Discord server as well at discord.gg/Wooly. Thank you very much for watching, and good luck with the new white boys.